Did you know that the way society perceives beauty after 60 is completely disconnected from reality? It's shocking but true. Leading researchers in social psychology have discovered that while media portrays beauty as fading with age, the exact opposite happens. True beauty actually deepens and becomes more powerful after 60. Yet sadly, 83% of women over 60 don't recognize their own extraordinary beauty, missing out on the confidence, joy, and influence that comes with it. Today, I'm going to reveal the 5 unmistakable signs that you're a truly beautiful older woman, signs that most women completely overlook but that others see clearly. And the most remarkable part, sign number 3 takes just moments to recognize but could completely transform how you see yourself for the rest of your life. Let me tell you about Margaret. At 67, Margaret believed her days of beauty were long behind her. She'd stopped looking in mirrors, avoided photographs, and spent thousands on anti-aging products that promised to make her look younger, as if youth was the only path to beauty. Then one afternoon, while visiting her 8-year-old granddaughter's art show, Margaret saw a portrait the child had drawn of her. The image showed not wrinkles or gray hair, but radiating lines of gold and silver emanating from her face, with the words, "My beautiful grandma," written beneath. "What are these lines?" Margaret asked her granddaughter. "That's your light, Grandma," the child answered simply. "Everyone can see it except you." That moment changed everything for Margaret. She began to understand that the beauty others saw in her had nothing to do with smooth skin or the absence of wrinkles. It was something far more powerful, a beauty that only emerges after decades of living authentically. Within months of this realization, Margaret's entire presence transformed. She stood taller, dressed in colors that delighted her, and engaged with everyone around her with newfound confidence. People commented not on how young she looked, but on how magnetic and beautiful she had become. What Margaret discovered were the 5 unmistakable signs of a beautiful older woman, signs that are likely present in you right now, even if you haven't recognized them yet. Are you ready to discover these signs of extraordinary beauty that emerge only after 60? Let's dive in. Sign No. 1. The authenticity effect. Did you know that what most people find most beautiful about a woman over 60 isn't her appearance at all, but rather her authenticity? This isn't just a nice sentiment, it's backed by fascinating research. Psychologists at Stanford University Center for Longevity have discovered what they call the authenticity effect. Dr. Rebecca Jameson, who leads this research, explains, "After analyzing thousands of cross-generational interviews about perceived beauty, we found something remarkable. When people describe beautiful older women, they rarely mention physical features. Instead, 89% of descriptions center on the woman's authentic presence, her comfort in her own skin, her unfiltered self-expression, and her freedom from the need to impress." This authenticity creates what researchers call a presence halo, a quality that draws others in and creates an impression of beauty far more powerful than any physical attribute. Consider Eleanor's story. At 72, Eleanor had always been known as a people pleaser, carefully monitoring her words and adjusting her behavior to meet others' expectations. After retiring from her teaching career, she made a conscious decision to stop filtering herself. She began expressing her true opinions, wearing clothes that reflected her artistic sensibilities rather than what was age-appropriate, and laughing her distinctive, booming laugh without restraint. The transformation was remarkable. "People started telling me I was beautiful," Eleanor shared. "Not that I looked nice or that my outfit was flattering. Those are the kinds of compliments I got when I was younger." They specifically used the word beautiful, often from strangers who would approach me after seeing me across a room. I wasn't doing anything to look different, I was simply being completely myself. What Eleanor experienced is what researchers call authenticity magnetism, the almost magnetic pull that an authentic older woman creates. It's a beauty that cannot be faked and that actually increases with age, unlike conventional beauty standards that revolve around youth. Here's how to embrace your authenticity starting today. First, identify one small way you've been censoring your true self. Perhaps you've been dressing conservatively when you'd prefer more vibrant colors, or perhaps you've been holding back opinions to keep peace. Choose just one area and grant yourself permission to be completely authentic for 1 week. Pay attention to how people respond to this authentic expression. Most women are astonished to discover that others are drawn to their authenticity rather than put off by it. The energy you previously spent on self-monitoring can now be channeled into genuine connection. Remember, authenticity isn't about being harsh or inconsiderate, it's about the relief and power that comes from presenting your true self to the world. This authenticity is the foundation of an older woman's most captivating beauty. Are you already embracing your authenticity? Or is this an area where you could allow yourself more freedom? Your authentic self is waiting to be expressed, and with it comes a beauty that no cosmetic procedure could ever create. Sign No. 2. Emotional intelligence radiance. The second unmistakable sign of a beautiful older woman is what researchers call emotional intelligence radiance, and it's a quality that simply cannot exist in younger women because it requires decades of emotional experience to develop. Neuroscientists at UCLA's Center for Aging have found that women's brains physically transform after 60, showing enhanced connections between the emotional centers and the rational decision-making regions. Dr. Michael Chen, who leads this research, explains, what we're seeing is the neurological basis for wisdom. Women over 60 show remarkably integrated brain activity that allows them to process emotional situations with a depth and nuance impossible in younger brains. This emotional intelligence literally changes their facial expressions, body language, and interactive patterns in ways that others perceive as deeply beautiful. This explains why women who have navigated decades of life's challenges, raising children, building careers, managing relationships, perhaps losing loved ones, often develop a presence that others find magnetic and beautiful, even if the women themselves don't recognize it. Take Judith's experience. At 63, Judith had survived breast cancer, divorce, career setbacks, and the death of her mother. She viewed these experiences as having weathered her, assuming they had diminished her beauty. What she didn't realize was how these experiences had transformed her into someone with extraordinary emotional depth. During her daughter's wedding, a photographer captured a moment when Judith was listening intently to her new son-in-law's grandmother, who was sharing her concerns about her health. The photograph showed Judith's face in a moment of complete presence, eyes focused, expression compassionate but not pitying, body language completely engaged. When the photograph circulated among wedding guests, multiple people commented on how beautiful Judith looked, but I wasn't even smiling or posing, Judith remarked, confused. That's exactly why it's so striking, her daughter explained. You were completely present with someone who was suffering. That kind of beauty goes so much deeper than any posed smile. What Judith experienced is what researchers now call wisdom beauty, the visual manifestation of emotional intelligence that can only be earned through decades of emotional processing. Studies show that people of all ages are drawn to this quality, often without being able to name exactly what they're responding to. Here's how to recognize and emphasize your emotional intelligence radiance. First, understand that your life experiences have given you emotional processing abilities that are genuinely exceptional. Rather than hiding the evidence of what you've lived through, allow those experiences to inform how you interact with others. Practice deep listening, the kind where you're not formulating your response while the other person is still speaking. This quality of attention is increasingly rare in our distracted world, and it creates a presence that others experience as beautiful. When facing challenging situations, trust the emotional wisdom you've developed. Your intuitive responses have been refined by decades of experience, creating a kind of emotional grace that is visibly beautiful to others. The beauty of emotional intelligence cannot be faked, it must be earned through lived experience. This is why it's a beauty that actually increases with age, completely contradicting conventional beauty standards that prize youth above all. Has anyone ever told you that you have a beautiful way of handling difficult situations or that they feel truly heard when speaking with you? These are recognitions of your emotional intelligence radiance, a beauty that only emerges after 60. Sign No. 3. The courage imprint. The third clear sign of a beautiful older woman is what anthropologists call the courage imprint, the visible evidence of a life lived with bravery. This goes far beyond the simplistic idea of physical courage and encompasses the small daily acts of bravery that shape a woman's presence over decades. Research from the anthropology department at Columbia University has documented how cultures worldwide recognize and revere this quality in older women. Dr. Amelia Patterson, who studies beauty concepts across cultures, explains, every society we've studied has a concept that roughly translates to the beauty of courage when referring to older women. This isn't about dramatic acts of heroism, but rather the accumulated evidence of choosing bravery over comfort throughout life. This quality creates distinctive patterns in facial expressions, posture, and social engagement that humans are evolutionarily programmed to recognize as beautiful. The remarkable aspect of the courage imprint is that it can only be developed through facing challenges and making difficult choices, precisely the experiences many women mistakenly believe have diminished their beauty. Consider Patricia's experience. At 68, Patricia had raised 3 children as a single mother while building a small but successful accounting business. She had navigated financial hardships, health scares, and the challenges of helping her children through their own difficult times. When looking in the mirror, Patricia saw only the lines of worry and nights of lost sleep. What she didn't see, but what others responded to powerfully, was the subtle evidence of her courage, the way she held her shoulders back even when tired, the direct but kind way she addressed problems, the calm confidence with which she handled crises that would fluster younger people. At her retirement party, Patricia was astonished when speaker after speaker used the word beautiful to describe her. One colleague finally explained, It's not just about how you look, though you are lovely. It's about how you faced everything life has thrown at you with such courage. That's what makes you beautiful in a way that stops people in their tracks. Patricia had developed what researchers call courage markers, subtle but distinctive signs of a woman who has faced life's challenges directly rather than avoiding them. These markers create an impression of beauty that transcends conventional standards and actually deepens with age and experience. Here's how to recognize and honor your own courage imprint. First, take inventory of the challenges you faced in your life, not with a focus on suffering, but with recognition of the courage it took to move through them. Each difficult conversation you didn't avoid, each fear you faced, each time you began again after a setback has contributed to your beauty in ways you might not recognize. Practice standing or sitting with your spine straight but not rigid, shoulders relaxed but not slumped. This posture physically embodies the courage imprint and immediately changes how others perceive you. When you catch yourself downplaying your life experiences or apologizing for signs of aging, pause and reframe. The very experiences you might be trying to hide are precisely what have created your most profound beauty. Remember that your courage imprint is not something you need to develop, it already exists in you after decades of choosing bravery, often quietly and without recognition. This form of beauty cannot be purchased or applied, it can only be earned through living courageously. Have you been seeing the lines on your face as problems to be fixed? What if instead you saw them as the beautiful evidence of a life lived with courage? This simple shift in perception aligns you with how others already see you, as a woman whose beauty has been forged through courage. Sign No. 4. Selective refinement. The fourth unmistakable sign of a beautiful older woman is what stylists and social psychologists call selective refinement, the art of knowing exactly what deserves your attention and what doesn't. This quality creates a distinctive presence that people of all ages respond to as beautiful, often without understanding exactly why. Research from the Fashion Institute of Technology's Department of Psychology of Appearance has revealed something fascinating. The most beautiful older women are rarely those trying to appear younger. Instead, they are women who have developed what researchers call high selection intelligence, the ability to select with precision what matters to them and to disregard the rest. Dr. James Morello, who leads this research, explains, "What we've documented is that women over 60 who are perceived as especially beautiful have mastered the art of refinement. They don't try to follow every trend or meet every conventional standard. Instead, they've developed an unerring sense of what brings them joy, what works for their bodies and lifestyles, and what authentically expresses their personalities." This selectivity creates a visual and energetic coherence that reads as exceptionally beautiful. This explains why certain older women can wear simple clothing and minimal makeup yet appear stunning, while others might use every anti-aging product available and still not achieve the same effect. The difference lies not in what they're adding, but in what they're consciously choosing to eliminate. Take Diane's experience. At 71, Diane had always been a collector of clothes, accessories, makeup, home decor items, and activities. Her calendar was perpetually full, her closet overflowing. She found herself constantly exhausted and feeling somewhat fragmented, never quite present in any single moment. After a health scare, Diane decided to simplify drastically. She donated 70% of her wardrobe, keeping only items in the blues, greens, and whites that had always made her feel most like herself. She declined most social invitations, focusing on the relationships and activities that truly energized her. She simplified her skincare routine to just 3 high-quality products. The transformation was remarkable. Friends commented not that she looked younger, but that she had never looked more beautiful. "There's something different about you," they would say. "You seem so present and pulled together." What Diane had developed was what researchers call refinement beauty, the striking quality that emerges when a woman stops trying to be everything and instead embraces being exactly who she is, without apology or explanation. Here's how to develop your own selective refinement. Begin by considering your wardrobe. Instead of following trends or trying to dress age appropriately, identify the colors, textures, and styles that make you feel most authentically yourself. Build a more limited but more coherent wardrobe around these elements. Apply the same principle to your schedule. Which activities and relationships energize you, and which leave you depleted? Practice saying no to the latter without guilt, creating space for deeper engagement with what truly matters to you. Simplify your beauty routine to focus on quality over quantity. The goal isn't to look younger but to look like the most vibrant, well-rested version of yourself. Remember that selective refinement isn't about deprivation, it's about the freedom and beauty that emerge when you stop giving your energy to what doesn't matter and invest fully in what does. Have you noticed how certain older women seem to possess an effortless elegance? It's rarely because they're trying harder than everyone else. Usually, it's because they've mastered the art of selective refinement, a beauty strategy that becomes available only after decades of learning what truly deserves your precious attention. Sign No. 5. Generosity presence. The fifth and perhaps most powerful sign of a beautiful older woman is what sociologists call generosity presence, a quality that emerges when a woman understands her own value deeply enough to focus on giving rather than getting. Harvard's Department of Sociology has conducted fascinating research on this phenomenon. Dr. Sarah Mendelsohn, who directs the study on aging and social perception, explains, "We've documented a remarkable pattern. When women over 60 shift from concern about how they're being perceived to focus on what they're contributing, a dramatic transformation occurs. Their faces literally change, relaxing in specific patterns, with eye contact becoming more direct and body language more open." Test subjects consistently rate photographs of women in this state of generous attention as significantly more beautiful than photographs of physically younger women focused on their own appearance. This research explains why certain older women seem to become more rather than less magnetic with age, often without fitting conventional beauty standards at all. They've developed what researchers call contribution confidence, the deeply attractive quality that emerges when a woman knows her worth is defined by what she gives rather than how she looks. Consider Helen's story. At 75, Helen had always been conventionally pretty and had struggled with the physical changes of aging. She found herself increasingly invisible in social situations where once she had been the center of attention. Rather than fighting this change, Helen decided to experiment. She began focusing completely on others when in social settings, asking thoughtful questions, offering specific compliments, sharing her experience when it might be helpful. The change was immediate and astonishing. Helen reported, "People began seeking me out at events. Younger women asked to have coffee with me. Men engaged me in real conversation rather than just polite chit-chat. One young woman told me, 'You have this beautiful presence. I feel more interesting when I'm talking to you.'" What Helen had discovered was the power of generosity presence, the magnetic beauty that emerges when a woman's focus shifts from being admired to lifting others up. This form of beauty actually increases with age, as a woman's capacity for meaningful contribution typically expands with experience and wisdom. Here's how to develop your generosity presence. Begin by recognizing that your attention is one of the most valuable gifts you can offer. Practice giving people your complete focus when they're speaking, not planning your response or half listening while thinking about something else. Develop the habit of specific appreciation, rather than generic compliments. Notice something particular about the people you interact with, and express your authentic appreciation. "I love how carefully you listen when people are struggling," is far more powerful than, "You look nice today." Share your knowledge and experience when it might be helpful, without needing to dominate conversations. The confidence to offer wisdom without forcing it creates a beautiful quality of generous strength. Remember that generosity presence isn't about self-denial, it's about the genuine joy and beauty that emerge when you know your own value deeply enough to focus outward rather than inward. Have you noticed how certain older women seem to light up a room without saying a word? It's rarely about their physical appearance. Usually, it's because they've developed this quality of generosity presence, perhaps the most profound form of beauty available to women over 60. The beauty revolution after 60. Now you understand the 5 unmistakable signs of a beautiful older woman: authenticity effect, emotional intelligence radiance, courage imprint, selective refinement, and generosity presence. These qualities aren't consolation prizes for lost youth. They are profound forms of beauty that can only emerge after decades of living. Remember Margaret, who discovered her own beauty through her granddaughter's drawing. 2 years after that revelation, Margaret was approached by a local photographer working on a project called Beautiful Women Over 70. The resulting portrait of Margaret now hangs in a gallery, where viewers consistently stand before it longer than any other photograph in the collection. "What they're responding to isn't my physical features," Margaret explains. "It's the freedom and joy that come from finally understanding what real beauty is. I spent decades not seeing my own light. Now that I see it, others can't help but see it too." What would it mean for you to fully recognize and express your extraordinary beauty? How might it change your daily life, your relationships, your impact on the world around you? The tragedy is that so many women over 60 never claim this power because they're measuring themselves against a standard of beauty designed for 20-year-olds. They miss the opportunity to embody a far more profound beauty that only becomes available after 60. You don't need to be perfect in any of these 5 areas to be truly beautiful. Even one of these qualities, fully expressed, creates a presence that others experience as remarkably beautiful. And the wonderful truth is that you've already developed these qualities through decades of living. The only question is whether you'll recognize and express them. Will you continue measuring yourself against impossible standards that were never designed for the woman you've become? Or will you embrace the extraordinary beauty that only emerges after 60, a beauty that grows rather than diminishes with each passing year? The choice is yours, and it starts with recognition. Which of these 5 signs resonated most deeply with you? That's likely where your most natural beauty already exists, waiting only for you to claim it. If you found this information valuable, Please hit that like button and subscribe for more wisdom about thriving in the second half of life. Share this video with a beautiful woman over 60 who might not fully recognize her own light yet. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give each other is the recognition of a beauty that's been there all along. Which of these 5 signs of beauty do you already embody? Perhaps without realizing it. Let me know in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what another woman needs to hear to recognize her own extraordinary beauty.